In this video, I'm sharing success stories and top tips for manifesting your SP, otherwise known as your specific person or special person that you desire to be in a romantic relationship with. If you are new here, welcome. My name is Adrianne. I'm a manifesting coach and intuitive guide, and on my channel, we talk about getting into the flow and manifesting with ease. So if that is something you're interested in, I invite you to click subscribe and turn on notifications so that you'll be the first to know when I publish new videos. So the inspiration for this video actually came from receiving an email from Melissa Baisi, who is a psychologist and an attachment coach and someone who uses law of attraction and manifesting in her work. It was synchronistic to receive this email because I've recently become interested in attachment theory, and she was asking if I ever have guests on my channel, and I haven't had too many guests, as you may be aware. I've had my sister on here a couple times before to talk about astrology, but I thought it would be fun to have Melissa on the channel to talk about attachment theory as it relates to SP, manifesting your SP, because that's a fun topic that I know there's a lot of interest in, but also because this concept of attachment theory doesn't just relate to manifesting an SP or a romantic relationship. It applies to other contexts of manifesting. So we're going to talk a little bit about that in this discussion that I had with Melissa that I'm about to share with you, but that's basically the inspiration for this video. So just to give you a little preview of some of the stuff that Melissa and I covered in our conversation, first we touched on the success story of a woman who manifested a relationship with her SP, who was her ex-partner, after 1 full year of not being in contact with this person at all. We also talked about Melissa's experience, her own success story manifesting her SP. And next we talked about the question of, do other people have free will in our reality, and how does that fit in with the idea of manifesting a relationship with a specific person? So Melissa and I both shared our opinions about this. And then we also talked about attachment theory itself, gave an overview of it, and how our specific attachment styles can affect our ability to manifest a positive relationship with an SP. And then finally, we also covered a powerful technique for identifying and releasing emotional blocks to manifesting an SP, or really anything that you want to attract into your reality. So with that bit of an introduction out of the way, here is my recent conversation with Melissa. And hey, Melissa, how are you?
Hey,
Why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself so we can learn a little bit more about you?
okay, so hi everyone. My name is Melissa. I am a registered psychologist up in Canada, and I'm also an attachment coach, which means I work with attachment theory to help people with their relationships to an SP, to money, to career, to family, friends. I look at attachment theory through a lens of how people are relating to all relationships in their lives.
So one of the reasons why I was really excited to have you on the channel or have this conversation with you is because I know that you have experience with manifesting an SP, and I know that's a popular topic. I have a little bit of experience with that. I've had clients that have been interested in that topic that I've helped with it. But I'd love to hear, like, from your experience of working with clients, or maybe even your personal experience in this topic that maybe inspired you to kind of go in this direction with your practice. Like, can you share some cool stories of manifestation of an SP with us today?
For sure. So lots of my clients come in to manifest an SP. So that's a huge point of attraction for where people are seeking me out. I've also had tons of success manifesting an SP as well. And it's through that route that I kind of frame my work. So I have a program called the Attachment Recovery Program. And people, when they want to come in to manifest an SP, they come in to heal their attachment styles, remove their emotional blocks. And once they've removed those emotional blocks, they're able to more easily manifest their SP. I find that in the manifestation community, there's not a huge focus on removing your emotional blocks because there's a fear that if you focus too much on your blocks, then you're creating more blocks.
Hmm.
And I think to some degree that's true. But we also have to be realistic in the fact that there are blocks that keep coming up, and when they keep coming up, that means they need to be cleared. And so that's what we really focus on in the course, is helping people remove those emotional blocks, learn how to regulate their nervous system, learn how to self-soothe, and then go on to manifest their SP.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think definitely that's been part of my journey as a manifesting coach and just like as a manifesting practitioner is learning to be more comfortable processing the negative emotions. And really, like what I've found more and more true over time is that sometimes you don't even need to do a lot of affirmations or visualization or even like traditional manifesting practices if you just, like you're saying, kind of work through the emotional issues and release the resistance around those and soothe those and create new beliefs around those, then the manifestation can happen just on its own that wants to happen. So I love all that. But I was wondering if you could share like any specific case study or like success story or kind of inspire us with someone's specific journey, either like a client or your own of manifesting an SP. I just love kind of real life examples and find those super inspiring. I know other people do. So can you share one of those with us? Would that be yeah, could you do that for
Yeah,
us?
for sure. So I actually just had a client who came into the attachment recovery program, and she hadn't had any contact with her SP for a year. And
Wow.
so, yeah, so in a no contact situation like that, those can be really tricky, especially to reestablish that contact, and especially if the client isn't herself or himself, but this was a her, wanting to go in and reach out to get that contact. She's wanting instead to manifest that they reach out and that they're taking that initiative. And so it was so amazing because in the beginning of us working together, it really seemed like a dead end for her, but she persisted in the work. She persisted in removing her emotional blocks, to the point where I reached out to her this one time midway through the program to be like, how are you thinking about your SP? It's really, really important that you're thinking like from a positive mindset about your situation. And she said, honestly, Melissa, I am not thinking about him at all. I'm more thinking about myself and my own healing and how good this is all feeling at this point. And it was after she said that to me. So I was like, oh my gosh, she's like dropped it. She's kind of like let it go. This is amazing. He reached out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
So that was pretty amazing. After a year of no contact, after she finally was like, you know what, I care more about myself, I care more about my own healing, that's when the SP reached out. And I should take it back. She didn't drop it. It's not that she dropped her desire. You don't have to
Mm-hmm.
drop your desire, but she dropped like the seeking and the trying, and instead replace that with seeking and trying to do her own healing work, which she was very successful at, which then led to contact, and now they are dating again. So that was a pretty amazing story. I found that one pretty incredible.
That's huge because definitely, yeah, in that kind of a situation, you can imagine a period of no contact for a year and where that could put you potentially in your mindset of, well, this is obviously over or whatever it may be, but just the power of those internal shifts that we can make within ourselves. And like you were saying, kind of taking the tension or taking the pressure off of that specific situation, focusing more on her energy naturally led to and there was no resistance to the desire happening. So
Exactly.
it could come in. Yeah, I love that one. Yeah, love that. That's super inspiring. Do you have any other stories? Could we hear maybe one more?
I have another client who was a little bit, it was kind of a similar, I'm going to be honest, a lot of these situations look the same. I can tell you a
Right.
little bit about
Yeah.
my own SP story. My major SP story, I had an SP that I was manifesting, and um, we have been off and on for many years. It was a really tumultuous relationship. And so I did manifest him back using the techniques, using principles from Abraham Hicks and Neville Goddard.
Mhm.
And what ended up happening was I realized this isn't even the person that I want to be with. I tried so hard to manifest, and I'm glad I proved to myself that I can manifest and that I am a powerful creator. But this is
Mm-hmm.
not even the person that I want to be with.
Mm-hmm.
And so I let that go.
So this is what
That
you realized after you already manifested him back into your,
Yeah,
yeah, powerful.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, from the Neville Goddard perspective, Neville talks about how everyone is you pushed out and that nobody has free will in your creation. I know it's a little bit of an extreme um perspective.
That's Neville's opinion.
Yeah, that's
Mm-hmm.
Neville's opinion.
Yeah.
And so I took that into consideration and I manifested my SP back. And then I just didn't have the attraction anymore. The attraction was gone. I'm like, well, should I just manifest him to be more attractive to me? And I'm like, what am I doing? Why
Yeah.
don't instead I manifest somebody who I'm already attracted, like, and I was already
Mm-hmm.
attracted to this person, but once I brought them back into my life and realized
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't into it anymore, I just let it go. And, I just kind of,
Yeah,
yeah,
this
that was, yeah, what were you going to say?
Oh, I was just gonna say, like, this is part of my hang up about manifesting an SP and kind of like why I've come more around to being open to helping people do that more, but have had some resistance in the past around it. And it's because of that reason
Mm,
of like trying to get too specific about what you think will make you happy versus like what I would say in my, because I'm more of an Abraham student, as I've mentioned to you before, and as people know
yeah.
on this channel, of just trusting your vortex, which is basically like, as Abraham
Whoa.
describes, you put into the vortex what's going to please you the most. And your higher self knows that, source energy knows that. It's based on all the experiences you've had in life coming together, and it knows what's going to please you the most, and that's what wants to be created. And so just kind of putting your focus on that and trusting that can be maybe tricky sometimes if you have this specific person or the specific outcome that you're pretty convinced is going to be what will make you most happy. But yeah, a lot of us have had those experiences like what you had, where you bring something in and you think it's going to be what makes you happy, but there's something actually even better in the vortex. So keeping that open-mindedness, I think, is what I would advise with SP, is like, yeah, focus on SP as long as it feels good to do so, imagining that specific relationship, but still keeping in mind that, this or something better, like people like to say about their manifestations, or this or its equivalent that feels as good or better. So I like that understanding about the vortex personally.
That was definitely a lesson I learned in my
Yeah.
manifesting experience, was this or something better. But I have a lot of
Mm-hmm.
people come in who are dead set on wanting to manifest a specific person,
Yeah.
SP.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I fully support that, just because I think
Mm-hmm.
it's important for people to learn that they can really manifest anything in the world and
Yeah.
nothing's off limits.
Mm-hmm.
And if that's what they need to do in order to teach themselves that they have that kind of power and that creative power, then I'm all for it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. I like that
Yeah.
perspective. That's good. I'm still not 100% convinced about what Neville says. Maybe I'll come on that side eventually about that other people don't have free will
Well, do
in
you want
your
me to
reality
explain
or
it to you
something.
a little bit?
Sure. Yeah. I'm interested.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. What's
So
your take on this?
Neville, yeah. So Neville says that we're the god of our reality.
Mm-hmm.
And what he means by that is we are all consciousness. We all
Mm-hmm.
have our consciousness, and consciousness is creative.
Mm-hmm.
Consciousness creates. And so, because it is our own consciousness in the creative sphere, nobody else can come in and create into what we have created. So when somebody's treating us a way that we don't like, or there's something happening in the world that we don't like, Neville would say that that's a reflection of what we've got going on inside. And we can't be 100% sure if the next person is experiencing what we're experiencing. All we can be sure of is what we ourselves, our own consciousness, is experiencing. Does this make sense as to why he's saying then that nobody can come in and create in your reality, and you can't go out and create in other people's realities? Everybody is a creation of your own consciousness, of your own reality. Does that kind of make sense?
Sort of. I think the way I think about it is kind of like, sure, we're all manifestations of source, so we're all one in a sense, and we're all kind of, yeah, different perspectives that source is taking. So I just kind of think about like how our desires are interconnected in certain ways. And maybe like in your case, it's like, yeah, you had this desire for this specific type of relationship with a specific person,
Mhm.
and you thought that that was going to bring this level of fulfillment or this level of joy. And telepathically, like we're always all connected and all kind of communicating with each other. So this specific person of yours, like maybe he on some level was aware of that and was like, well, I'm going to help you. I'm going to manifest again for you to show you that you're a powerful creator, and also to help you realize that, I'm not a match for what you really want. So it's like,
Mhm.
I don't know, like I kind of, yeah, I see us all as kind of working collaboratively together to help create what we individually want. But for me, it doesn't resonate that we don't have free will as individual creators, or that other people are kind of like just, yeah, that we have total control over what they will do. I think they could collaborate with us, and maybe that collaboration happens on that psychic level where they know like what we're trying to prove about our power and about our what we really want and stuff, and so they could collaborate with us in doing that. But it's not like us controlling them, it's like them agreeing on a deeper level maybe to collaborate with us, is maybe what would make more sense to me. I don't know if that
Yeah.
that like makes sense to you too, but that's how I
Yeah,
would see
that
it.
totally makes sense to me. And Neville
Mm-hmm.
does talk a little bit about psychic communication and the oneness of us all, how we're all one.
Yeah.
But
Mm-hmm.
he's saying that like your entire existence, your entire reality is created by you. There's
Yeah.
nothing that isn't created by you. And so that's why other people don't have free will in your creation, but also that we can't go into other people's creation and mess with their free will because they have their own reality happening that's reflecting their own belief system.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of
Yeah.
interesting. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
interesting how
it's
they
interesting
all
to think about.
diverge.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Yeah.
the different teachers for sure. Yeah.
Mhm.
I mean, yeah, it seems like it all works out. Whichever
It
approach.
all seems like it's saying the same thing sometimes, like when you like
Yeah, true.
really talk it through and get to the
Yeah.
bottom of what each teacher is saying. It's like, well, that really sounds a lot similar, like really similar to like what Abraham is saying or whoever, right?
Yeah, you can find tie-ins for sure. Yeah, I like that. Yeah, thanks for diving into that part of it a little bit with me. I don't want to get like go too deep into that because I want to stay on this SP
Yeah.
topic, but maybe another time we could talk more
Okay.
about that.
Yeah,
So, yeah, the other thing that I wanted to make sure that we touched on was this attachment theory
absolutely.
concept, because I know it's an important part of your work. And like I've said, it was synchronistic for you to even reach out to me because I'm just had gotten interested in this recently. So I'm wondering if you could share a little bit about how kind of understanding about your attachment style, just like a quick overview of attachment theory,
Sure.
if you can, and then how that helps with manifesting somebody's SP.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
So we have insecure attachment and secure attachment. And under the insecure attachment umbrella, there's three insecure attachment styles. So there's anxious, avoidant, and disorganized.
Mm-hmm.
And under the secure attachment, it's just secure attachment. So there's no extra styles underneath that. So if you have an anxious attachment style, you're going to find yourself really needing to be in communication a lot, really needing to know where your partner is, what they're doing. You're needing them to text you back right away. There's going to be feelings of desperation and neediness. Sometimes those aren't the funnest words, but
Anxiety, probably because you're anxiously attached. You're anxious about
exactly.
the. Mhm.
Yeah. And just really trying to establish connection 24/7 and not let them go.
Yeah.
An avoidant attachment is somebody who's pulling away, who's wanting to disengage, who is unable to show up emotionally and give in that way. And oftentimes, anxious and avoidant pair up.
Hmm.
And so, and then there's the disorganized, which is a little bit of anxious and a little bit of avoidant, but it comes from a profound trauma background. So that's
Yeah.
only 6% of the insecure attachment population. So disorganized, we kind of, if it's a special case and somebody's presenting as disorganized, then that's one thing, but mostly it's anxious and avoidant. And so when we begin to understand if we're anxious or avoidant, we can begin to understand what it's going to take for us to get into a more secure attachment style. And once you move into a more secure attachment style, you can pull your partner up also to a secure attachment style. And that's where the manifesting comes in, is that when we're manifesting our own secure style, that security is going to rub off on our partner and get us closer to the type of relationship that we're looking for. Did that all make sense?
Yeah, that was great. I like that because it's like you could manifest, and I've had this in the past in certain relationships where you could manifest a relationship with somebody, but it could be a roller coaster or drama because maybe you're in some of these less secure attachment styles. And if you want to manifest a relationship with your SP that feels really good and that like is more the ideal of what you want, then that makes total sense. If you can come into secure attachment or energy alignment or like self-soothing or however you could maybe call it, that kind of maybe means a little bit of the similar thing, then you can manifest the external reflection of that with the SP of them being able to attune to that and like come into harmony with that and create that balanced relationship that feels really good most of the time. So I like that. It's a cool way of thinking about it and approaching it, I think.
Yeah, I love how you said
Yeah.
energy alignment, because that's so true. When you're in an insecure attachment style, the goal is to become your own secure base. And once you yourself can pull yourself into security, that means that you're better able to regulate your nervous system, self-soothe, and show up for yourself in ways that you wish your partner would show up for you. And once you start showing up for yourself in ways that you wish your partner would show up, it makes it easier for the partner to show up because you're not so needing them to do it.
Mm-hmm.
It's just kind of like the cherry on top. And it's really easy to like fulfill someone's needs when they're not desperately needing you to do it for them. They've figured out how to do it themselves, but you can just come in and be that awesome person from a secure place, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, it's beautiful. And I think like you kind of link this to other topics too, where it's like, yeah, manifesting from a place of abundance versus a place of scarcity, which could apply in a
Yeah.
lot of different manifesting topics. So in this one, we're relating it to personal emotional needs in relationships. And it sounds like you're saying kind of look at what you're really wanting or feeling attached to get from a partner, and how could you give that to yourself so that it feels like you don't need it, you would like it and still enjoy it, but you're not like desperate for it. And then from that
Yeah.
place, of course, like with anything you're manifesting, you get to that place of greater balance, and then naturally the universe, that law of attraction, reflects that back to you, in this case in a relationship. So it feels like another way of kind of understanding kind of the core way that we can manifest anything that's pleasant in our reality. So I like that. It's cool how it kind of but focuses it in this concept of attachment, to another person. So it's very cool. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I love
Mm-hmm.
attachment theory. I love conceptualizing life through the attachment lens, because you can even look at the way you relate to money. You can have an anxious attachment style towards money, or you can have an avoidant attachment style towards money, or you can have a little bit of both.
I've had both different points. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
We're coming
exactly.
into more balance. For sure. Yeah.
Yeah, but when you can bring yourself into a secure place, then you can start applying that to money. And once you can start applying that to money, money can more freely and easily flow into our lives, because money is an energy, just like a person is an energy. And so just working with those energies, energetics, is what allows us to kind of get more of what we want in life.
Yeah. Yeah. Beautiful. Yes. Okay. So this makes me want to ask, what do you think if someone was wanting to work with their attachment style and maybe they thought, well, I feel like I'd be more of an anxious attached person, or like I would be more of an avoidant attached person. Like maybe the first step would be identifying which one of those camps you would more lean into. And then maybe the step after that could be identifying what you are really seeking from a partner and how could you give that to yourself, and kind of like could you give some overall steps of how someone might approach kind of working with attachment style for manifesting SP?
Yeah, so it's going to be the same whether you're anxious or avoidant. It is, of course, important to understand if you're anxious or avoidant, but I think even from people listening today would be able to categorize themselves from the descriptions given.
Hmm.
And what's going to be really important is learning your triggers, learning what
Hmm.
triggers your nervous system to go into a state of dysregulation.
Hmm.
And when you go into that state of dysregulation, knowing how to slowly bring yourself out. So it doesn't have to be like um, a really dramatic, difficult thing. It can just be a slow working your way up back into a secure, regulated state. And so we can do that with a variety of different techniques. There's cold plunges, meditation, singing and humming. Those are all ways to bring your nervous system into regulation. But there's also talking to yourself with a nurturing voice and validating yourself, allowing yourself to feel the feelings that you're feeling and not trying to make those feelings go away, but rather letting those feelings know that you're here with them. They're not alone. That's oftentimes what some of our serious dysregulation needs to know is that it's not alone, that we have
Hmm.
its back. And so being able to communicate that to your different parts inside is a huge regulation strategy.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah, that you're picking up on the next thread that I wanted to pull, which was just talking about more about nurturing voice, because I heard you talk about that before in your conversation with Manifest with Mary, I think it was, where you mentioned nurturing voice, and I really felt drawn to hearing more about that. I think that's a great concept, and it's something that I think for me personally, I'm learning more and more about over time. As you said before, about sometimes with people who are very into manifesting, of course, we want to focus on positive thoughts and positive feelings and take ourselves up the emotional scale and everything like that. But the lower half of the emotional scale is important to pay attention to as well, and how you're able
Yeah,
to appropriately soothe or gradually make your way back up from some of those lower vibration but still perfectly valid feelings is hugely important to your ability to manifest what you want in this situation and lots of others too. And so nurturing voice sounds like a great technique or potential one of the ways that help with that. And yeah, I'd love to hear a little bit more about what that means and how you describe that, and maybe a little bit of a tip of how people could tap into more of their nurturing voice.
for sure. So, what I always start with people is getting them to feel into their bodies. So, feeling into the physical sensation of where they're feeling this dysregulation. So, with anxiety, oftentimes it's a heaviness or a tightness in the chest, or with depression, it can be like a pit in your stomach, but that can also be anxiety too. So, I don't want to say anxiety is this, depression is that, but
Mm-hmm.
just feeling into your body. So maybe it's your chest, maybe it's your stomach, maybe your cheeks are flush, or your hands and feet are tingling. It can really be anything. And going into that physical sensation and letting it know, first of all, that you're here and you're here to help. And once you let it know that you're here and you're here to help, you ask it to tell you what's going on for it. And this is all done inside, right? You don't have to do this out loud. And oftentimes it'll say, like, I'm scared, or I'm scared of failing, or I'm scared of looking like a fool, or whatever it is. I'm sad. I'm sad that I've lost this, or whatever it is, right? And so with the nurturing voice, what you want to do is say, like, that makes so much sense. You don't want to say, like, you what you don't want to do with the nurturing voice, and this is such a common error that people make with nurturing voice, is they'll be like, it's okay, you're okay,
Mm-hmm.
don't worry, you're okay. No,
Yeah.
that is not how the part feels. It doesn't feel like it's okay. It doesn't feel like it
Mm-hmm.
shouldn't worry. It feels legitimately sad or legitimately scared.
Yeah.
And so what it needs to hear from you is, that makes so much sense. You're allowed to feel that way. I'm here with you while you feel that way. And even if the worst case scenario unfolds, I'm going to be right here with you, and you're not going to have to go through it alone. I can't
Mm,
promise that the worst case scenario won't unfold because I don't know what's going to happen, but you won't be alone in experiencing it.
mm,
And that's where you get the real movement and the real shifting and the real nervous system regulation when you start to let your parts know, like, hey, I see you. You're not alone. You make sense. You are allowed to be that way.
Beautiful. Yeah, I love that. That is super nurturing. What do you
Yeah.
feel? What happens after someone does that? Like, what's the next step after that? So it's like you because in manifesting, we're always kind of thinking about, and of course, you don't want to try to jump it too soon, but we're like thinking about, okay, how do we then take steps up the emotional scale? Because ideally, like we want to be moving a topic with an SP or whatever we're trying to manifest up to those higher levels where we're feeling more in resonance with the outcome that we want. And so I feel like nurturing voice is awesome when you're in those places of feeling really sad or feeling really lost in something or feeling really triggered. And so just being present with, is that kind of like what you do and then just kind of let it go for now and you stop the work for now, or do you do further, just kind of let it go for now? Yeah, just kind of soothe it in that way.
Yeah, you just soothe it, and that itself should move you up the emotional scale. That
Mm-hmm.
itself, and it's really cool because the nervous system is like an emotional ladder, and then Abraham talks about the emotional scale. And I just love when science and
Yeah,
spirituality overlap and intersect with each other
yeah.
because the way Abraham teaches the emotional scale is scientifically spot on. That
Ooh,
is
interesting.
how, yeah, that's how our
Yeah.
nervous system works.
Mm-hmm.
So when you do a nurturing voice, you're moving yourself the nervous system ladder, up the emotional scale by saying, "Hey, you're not alone." And that what that gives you is this sense of like, "Okay, all right, I can do this. I can take the
Yeah.
next step, whatever the next step is."
Mm-hmm.
It clears the way. It opens up freedom to get to seeing what the next ideal step is.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. It is, yeah. I think, like I said before, it's like sometimes it's all about just the releasing the resistance and focusing there versus trying to focus on like a lot of affirming or a lot of like visualizing the outcome or something. I mean, you do those when you're higher up and it feels good, but if you're trying to like do that to cope with this uh really challenging feelings that could be better addressed with the nurturing voice, and that can be counterproductive, like you were saying, of trying to tell yourself like, no, it's okay like this is what I'm manifesting, and then you just kind of like meet that resistance of like, no, but this is how I really feel, though I really feel sad or I really feel.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's great, a great understanding to keep in mind.
Yeah.
Yeah, beautiful. Cool. Well, yeah, I think that those are some really great tips and understandings and inspiration around manifesting the SP. I don't want to take up too much of your time. I know you're a busy lady with clients and courses and all the wonderful things that you do. So I just want to say thank you so much for coming on to the channel to talk with us a little bit about this really cool and interesting topic. You've definitely taught me and added some value to me and some things that I've learned and I'm interested to experiment more with in my manifesting practice. So, yeah, thank you so much for
Yeah,
being here with
not a
us.
problem. If you ever
Yeah.
have any other questions, shoot them my way. I'm happy to answer them for you. If anybody's looking for me, you can find me at attachmentrecovery.com. And I think that's about it. It was so nice to meet with you today and chat with you. These are all my favorite topics, so I'm super excited to talk about this anytime.
Yeah, super awesome. Yeah, I will definitely put a link to your information in the description below this video so people can learn more and connect with you about this topic and the other ones that you are discussing and sharing and helping people with. So, yeah, thanks again so much for visiting with us today.
Yeah, not a problem. Have a great rest of your day.
Thank you so much for joining me for this conversation, this exploration of attachment styles and manifesting an SP. If there was anything in our conversation and my talk with Melissa that you would like potentially more information about or to go deeper into, I might be able to have Melissa back on the channel. She showed some interest in that, so definitely put a comment down below if there's any further questions you have or topics you want to go deeper into, and maybe we can have her back on the channel to cover those more fully. If you would like more manifesting tips and tricks and inspiration from me, like always, I have my free guide to the 7 habits of highly magical people linked in the description box below this video. It's a free download, so definitely check that out if you are interested. If you enjoyed this video, I definitely recommend checking out this next one, which is all about my personal stories of manifestation and synchronicity. I share 5 stories in that video and kind of what I did to help me manifest some of what I wanted. So hope you check that out if you're interested. And thanks again for watching today. Until next time, happy manifesting.